All right, so in the last video, I made a mistake and I wanted to show how to remedy that. We put the floor joists in, but I put them in too far. So I need to edit the boundary. It's very simple. I didn't leave room for the rim joist or the bond. So I find it's easiest to pick the structure. We're looking for that dashed line, and it's easiest to pick it in a section. So we'll say edit the boundary. It says, okay, well, you can't edit the boundary there. I want to edit in the second floor structure. I have that open already, so I just let this say whatever it suggests that I go to. This isn't bad either. I click on that magenta line, which represents the boundary, and I'm going to say isolate category, so we can only see that. And now I'm just going to move everything 1.5 inches because I need to leave room for the bond or the rim joist, which I didn't do. So we'll just move all of these over 1.5 inches. Left. Okay, this one 1.5 inches. This one 1.5 inches. And I think this is the last one. Move it up 1.5 inches. I'm going to reset the temporary height so I can see everything. And let's look. Yeah, so now if we look at this in consistent colors, you can see that from the plywood to the boundary of the structure, I needed that extra inch and a half. It looks like it's more than an inch and a half there. And there too. I might be wrong about that, so let's measure it just to be sure. Maybe we're okay. From here to here is an inch and a half. Okay, we're good. So that's what I wanted to do. Hit the check mark. My structure's in there. We'll go back to that second floor. You can see now that it might be difficult, but I've moved the boundaries in. I have to do the same thing with this guy. I have a section that's cutting through here, but I'm going to grab and drag this one down and go back to that view. And I'm looking for that dashed line. There it is. Edit the boundary. It says you can't edit it in this view, so we'll say okay. But I already have the second floor structure open, so I could use that one. All right, so that looks, and I'm glad I did because that looks okay. That's going right up against there. This guy needs to go back. That's okay there too. And that's okay there too, and that's okay there too. So the inner walls are okay, but this one, move that 1.5. And this one, move it 1.5. And move this one up 1.5 inches. And this one needs to move over 1.5 straight across. And I think this one is the last one. So we move it. You can click anywhere on the screen and use the mouse to show the direction you want it to go, and then use the keyboard to show the distance. Whoops, I think I typed 1.5 feet. So let's undo that, and we'll move it again. I didn't put the inches. If you don't put a symbol, Revit thinks it's feet. And if you want it to be inches, you have to tell it otherwise. So see, I need to move all of that structure back. So I'll just say okay. And see how it moved it back, that 1.5 inches. So now we're going to put the plywood floor joist in. I'm sorry, we're going to put the plywood subfloor in. That's a floor, architecture, floor. We have to pick the right material, which is 3/4 inch plywood. Okay. And now that does go all the way up to the plywood. So we want to pick that, trace around. This is actually, it will go back to the gypsum board. I've moved that line back a 1/2 inch, and this guy I think stops right here. No, that's not true. I'll have to fix that. And this one goes, the plywood goes to here, and then back to here. I'm gonna have to move that at 1/2 inch, because I'm gonna pick that line, and I need to move it back the thickness of the gypsum board, and I didn't quite get this one correct either. So I'll fix that. I'm not too worried about the accuracy now, because I know I can use that align tool to get it right where I want it to be. Let's trace around the plywood sheathing, which is that brown line there, and we'll come all the way back to the beginning. And let's clean it up a little bit. All right, so that looks like it cleaned itself up. Ooh, that's really bad. So it's on an angle, but that's all right. We'll align. This one, we have to move it back 1/2 inch because the gypsum board. So click anywhere on the screen. Use the mouse to show the direction, and 0.5 inches is how far back it has to be. And here, I think we're good. Here, I did make a mistake. The floor probably just goes to the stringer. And then this one, I'm just going to delete it, fill it. And here, this probably goes, no, I'll leave it to there. That's pretty good. This one has to come back 1/2 inch because of the gypsum board on the wall below, 0.5 inches. And let's see what else we got. Yep, this one too, because there's gypsum board on that wall, 0.5 inches, and we don't want it to extend into the gypsum board. Here, we'll just use the align tool to get our accuracy. I think we're okay the rest of the way around, but we'll double check. Oh, that looks good. I like it. Let's hit the green check mark. It's not visible, so we have to click the modify tab, and then the green check mark becomes visible. And it says, uh-oh, you got someplace it isn't, the boundary isn't closed. So we'll go over, select that magenta line and say isolate category, and then we'll just look around. Now what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to say okay, and it should tell me, and it does. Right there is where the issue is, so I'll continue. It showed me where the problem was, which is right there. Fill it, and let's see if it goes away. I don't know what that means. I think it means that we put our plywood at 1.25 inches. We didn't pay attention to the height of it. So we can go back to this section, go to view, and we had that somewhere in there, we put that tile in so that the shower had a floor to be hosted by. But I'll just pick my plywood and change it to 0 because the top of the plywood is at 0, and we're good. Let's save that. And now let's put in the rim joist, which is a little bit more difficult to do. But let's go to a 3D view. And I want to see, I'm going to grab this section box so that I can see the entire house. And we can see it. And all I want to see, though, is the floor and the, let's put one in real quick. This will make sense in a second. Beam, we just want 2 by 12. Okay, I'm gonna just put that. Let's see if we can get it relative to the second floor. And we don't want it to have any additional height. We'll just put one in here for just a second, because we can't see it. Why is that? Why is it that we can't see it? All right, we're gonna try to pick that plywood. Not easy to do. Can't see. So maybe I put it in somewhere that I wasn't aware of. Let's see if it went someplace else. I can see it, it's not above. I'll drop it down, maybe it's below. And maybe I put it this way. We should be able to see it. And there it is. Okay. So I'm going to hide that category. I don't need the walls right now. I only want two things. I want the plywood and I want this guy. So we're going to say isolate category, and we're going to have those two things. Now I'm going to put in that rim joist or that bond. It's a beam. It's a 2x12. It has to be offset by 3/4 of an inch. So we'll put it in and we'll see. But now we're going to pick lines this time. We're going to pick this line and see what happens. It went way up here. Okay. Now, what do I have to do for the constraints to make that line up in the right spot? We'll go back to the second floor. We know this section will cut through it. So we'll go to that view. And we're looking for that. It's right there, is it? No, that's the fascia. Go back to that 3D view. It's right here. We'll go back to the front to back, and it should be highlighted now. Okay. So again, we're going to isolate, we're going to hide that category, which are the walls. And there it is right there. So I want that to be, oh, for some reason it picked the roof plan. So we selected it. We're going to say, edit the work plane, and we're going to tell it to be the second floor. And say, okay. That puts it, oh, but we want it to be 3/4 of an inch lower. Minus 3/4 of an inch. Yes, now that's exactly where we want it. So that's the constraints that we want. Minus 3/4, minus 3/4. So we're going to look at that. We're going to say beam 2x12. The reference level is the second floor, and we said we want it to be minus 3/4. Okay, let's pick a line and see what happens. I put it up there again. All right, so we'll just do this all the way around, and then we'll move it down. We want that bond or rim joist to be at the edges of this plywood. So we're picking the plywood. Need one there. And right there. All right. We need to see that crop region because it's cutting the, can we pick that? Oh, it won't let us pick it. All right, so we'll reset temporary hide. See if we can see it now. We can, and it's not letting me pick it. So what is going on that it's not letting me do something? All right. I still want to pick this. Escape, escape. Now I can pick it, and I want to drag. I want to see more of the house. And the crop region is there. I could say don't crop. I use this, don't crop it. Okay, so now I can see everything. Go back and we're going to isolate this category again, which is walls. Oh, not, actually, we want to hide that category, not isolate it. So that was my mistake. All right, let's go back to the eyeglass and say hide category. The two things I want to see are that and this plywood. So I'm going to hold the control key down until I select the plywood, and then I'll say isolate category. So I should only have those two there now. This one, I don't know where that goes, so let's delete it. We're going to go beam, so it should default back to what we have, and it did. I'm going to say pick line, and I still got to do this one and this one. Let's pick that plywood. Zoom in a little closer. We got to come around here. And I got that one and that one in right. Okay. So let's go just to the side view. We know that we're going to select all of these. And then we're going to change. For some reason, it went back to the reference plane of the roof. We'll just say edit the work plane and change it to the second floor. And say, okay. Should drop everything down. Let's see if it did. Yes, it did. So now I have my bond in there like I wanted it to be. All the way around. Whoops, we got a little bad. Oh, this is probably, possibly for the stairs. Yeah, so that projects around because I have a column there. All right. I think I put an extra one in there. I don't need that. So we deleted it. I already had the 3 2x12s here for my beam to carry the floor joist. And I clicked on that line and put another one in, so I know that was wrong, but it looks like Revit cleaned it up pretty well. So now let's go back and say reset temporary hide. And we're going to hide the walls. And I want to hide the plywood. So let's see if we can get in there and select that plywood floor. Tab, tab. Yep, there it is. Hide element. And now you can see, well, we can isolate that. Click this, click this. We'll say isolate category. And you can see what we did there. The floor joists have a place to rest on both sides now, except for here. I think that rests on the wall. That's why it's there. But that's what we're trying to do, is put that bond in. This was an extra one. We can delete that now. So we're going to put that bond in there. So let's go to the second floor. Let's take a look at the section. We can see exactly what we did. This is that bond that we just put in. That's what we wanted. We want it to be at the face of the plywood, right up against this plywood sheathing. That's exactly what we wanted there. So we have it. So now we have our second floor plywood, which is the subfloor. We have our structural floor, which is our 2x12s. And we have our rim joist, or our bond, which is going all the way around the perimeter of the outside of the house. So we're looking pretty good there.